I have multiple times. Good. Well, welcome to the parenting series. If you haven't been a part of this, as a church collectively, all locations, fellows at RCMU, East, West, those online, all over the place, we're looking at what it is like to be a good parent. Where you're not gonna raise perfect kids, and you're never gonna be a perfect parent. But what's it look like to actually be a good parent? Now, some of us, again, we're not there. You're like, I'm not in that season. I've graduated from it, or you haven't gotten there yet. This still all applies to us. So if you're sitting here going, what does this have to do with me? It has everything to do with you. So listen with ears that are mature, where you're ready to actually glean some things about maybe how God parents you, or maybe it's specifically about how you're going to parent your own kids now or someday. We opened up the series talking about how parenting has seasons to it. It helps us understand it and do well with this. Here we are, again, I'm not going to be redundant here. Watch online. There's the first set of years, 1 to 5, discipline years, where you're trying to create some boundaries, and training years, 6 to 11, self-direction. This is a season where they're starting to make a lot of choices on their own. You're trying to help them do that. Coaching years, self-control, where they learn no and yes and what that all means and the power of it, and you're not hovering anymore. Then the friendship years, 18 plus, still being a parent no matter if they're in your home or not, but you're teaching something different, selflessness. These are the seasons, so I want to cue in on one particular season, the training years. 6 to 11, and again, that can flex on those days. It can start early or go longer than the average. The training years are these self-directing times where you're teaching your kid to do some things on their own. In essence, in short, you're teaching responsibilities. Yay, responsibilities. Yeah, I know. Just a conversation about responsibility sounds about as boring as we could ever be. Every time I talk to my kids about any kind of responsibility, they look at me as though I'm speaking in a completely different language, and it's a boring language. And it doesn't typically have tons of excitement going, yay, what are our new responsibilities? Yeah. No, this is where you begin to teach the lifelong skill set of dishwashing and of picking up the trash and taking it out to the trash can, of cleaning rooms by themselves. And this is the season that they begin to get themselves dressed in a way that they're choosing their clothes. And boy, can that get interesting. But the responsibility talk is not a fun one, but this is the season. This is the season. And here's why responsibilities are a big deal. Because they help fulfill dreams. See, we aren't just as parents wanting our kids to play the role in the home because, well, we need some help. We need help with the this or that, the chores and all that. No, the goal is not to make someone's life difficult or even to add something to their life. It's very simple. We all have dreams, or at least used to dream. Had aspirations, things about life that we wanted to have happen, and responsibilities, they help us get there. Your kids have dreams. I mean, I've been fascinated how young our children begin to already talk about what they want to do when they grow up. Now, I know that it changes and evolves, and some of it it's not the most rational, but it's so neat to listen to them dream. But you can't just dream. You've got to teach your children that there are responsibilities that help those dreams become a reality. Now, I know some of you, you're already hating on the conversation. You're like, but David, I don't want to give my kids responsibilities so early. I want them to enjoy being young. I want them to enjoy their years, their young years, adolescent years. And some of you, listen to me closely, some of you, you are refusing to hand responsibilities, chores, off to your kids because you don't want them to grow up too early. I've heard this be said. Like, I don't want my kids to grow up too early. Don't grow up too early, so we're gonna wait to give you any kind of big responsibility. You just kind of enjoy things. Let me point out something, because you need to see this. Our fear of allowing our kids to grow up too fast, legitimate fear, often keeps them from ever growing up. Come on, you've got a friend who grew up in a home where there was no responsibilities. They could do whatever they want, whenever they wanted. They did. It just got to just choose, and they couldn't break out of that. If you don't give your kids responsibilities in the season of training, well, they're simply just going to think that's what life is. They're going to think that that's how life functions, that they'll only need to get a job if they're in the mood to get a job. You see, things can go bad if you and I don't grab a hold of responsibility. And in fact, if you're wondering, okay, responsibility, boring conversation, like this is like miserable. The way my kids feel about it, frankly, I don't want this. Then let me flip it. Let me show you the ugly side. Here it is. Irresponsibility can blow up your life. I mean, just put it into your everyday functioning. If you're not responsible with where money comes from, with how you eat, how you treat people, where you show up, when you don't show up, what you do and don't do, things can blow up quickly. Many of us have our own examples, right, of when we were irresponsible and the consequences to that. So the reason we have to have this conversation about responsibility is because the positive side is even better. Responsibility can build up your life. It can be so significant that if you begin in small chunks, just small at early age, you learn the power of a responsibility. You can build a life, fulfill your dreams, and life will not be perfect or painless, but it'll be full of enjoying and engaging in your dreams, being a person that is able to live the full life as the Bible spells out for us. So have you currently been enabling your kids, or have you been empowering them with responsibilities? See, the Bible gives us tons and tons and tons of wisdom on this. Let me show you in Proverbs 25, just simple verse. A person who promises a gift but doesn't give it. Now, just so you understand, that's irresponsibility, is like clouds and wind that bring no rain. Come on, we know this in South Dakota. When we might be in a drought and you see clouds and wind, you're like, oh, good, we're going to get the rain, and then it doesn't show up. I mean, this was being written to people who needed the rain to grow the crops. In fact, there's a translation or version of the Bible paraphrase message says it even better. Like billowing clouds that bring no rain is the person who talks big but never produces. Have you wondered what the gap is between those who talk big and never produce? It's responsibility. It's a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool that if you and I will say, okay, how do we do this and how do we do this well? One of the most essential lessons in life is responsibility. Now, think about this as a married couple. What if you removed responsibility? What if you pulled it out? You would understand that the marriage would fumble. What if you actually began to lead at work, no responsibilities, no one has responsibilities? You understand that things would fall apart. Now let's talk about kids specifically. Let's talk about kids, and I'll show you this. I think this helps with kids. Kids have big expectations of rewards and small expectations of responsibility. Here's where I've learned this. Pets. Oh, man. I mean, I would imagine many of you have grown up in a home where you had pets. Now, I know some of you love pets. You think it's amazing to have animals running throughout your home. And that to you is like so peaceful. For me, I'm like, there's animals running throughout the home. This is weird. But we as a family, I'm not hating on this. We've had animals. We've had dogs. We've had fish. We've had guinea pigs. Now, I don't know if you've ever had guinea pigs. I've talked to you about this before. My kids wanted guinea pigs, so they got guinea pigs. They got guinea pigs, and they love the guinea pigs. I mean, I remember when they first got them, it was a Christmas gift, and they thought, this is amazing, and it was so cute, and this is beautiful, and this reward, in essence, was amazing. This is the good picture. You know what we don't have pictures of? Of them scooping the poop, of them taking the blankets and the sawdust stuff saturated in pee. That's disgusting. It's just so gross. I mean, I don't post pictures or show you pictures of that, but you do know that's a responsibility. It's a responsibility that we've got to own. And my kids, they love going to the pet stores. Here's what I wish about pet stores. I wish they would greet you at the door, and maybe even stop you for a second and say, all right, welcome to our pet store. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. There is amazing, cute, cuddly, furry stuff in there. But before we can let you in, I need to ask you a few questions. One, are you okay with scooping poop up that's not yours? Or even if it's yours, that's weird. Are you okay with wiping pee off the floor? Is that something you want to do? Are you okay with feeding another animal to keep them alive? And there should be no hesitation to these answers. And if you give the right answers, you're allowed into the toy or the pet store. And if not, if you're like, I'm not sure, then they just don't let you in. That's the way it should go. But it doesn't. Because responsibility is a lesson we teach to children, and it's a life lesson that every one of us should know. Now, why? It's simple. Let me show it to you. Rewards aren't sustainable without responsibility. Remember that dream part? You have dreams, aspirations, things that you want to accomplish in life? Yeah, you do. Rewards, the rewards that come from the things that you want in life. You know that our normal, typical thinking here is we have dreams, we neglect the responsibility, yet we expect the rewards. That's kid thinking, right? Well, we know that rewards aren't sustainable without responsibility. And the Bible gives us points of wisdom over and over and over again that helps us understand this. And here's one: the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Now, here's why I'm showing this, because if you get into the negative, a toxic, destructive part of an irresponsible life, you have an unfaithful life. And we need to be serious here. Unfaithfulness destroys people. And unfaithfulness can be spoken as irresponsibility. Irresponsible unfaithfulness. Listen to me, you don't want your child grown up to be an irresponsible, unfaithful person. You don't want that. And do not think that a person naturally becomes responsible and faithful just all on their own, like it's no big deal and it just happens. It doesn't just happen. It requires the coaching, the help, the training of other people. And so I thought about this, because this is a big deal to me. because I don't want to be a tyrant in my home. I don't want my kids to hate me. I really don't. Okay, I know I don't want my kids to hate me, but I also don't want them to hate me later on in life going, why didn't you teach me what I needed to know? And so I want to teach my children the power of responsibility. And I would say what I'm learning, especially in the young ages, 6 to 11, but even beyond, they need to have two really big responsibilities that really help them. Here's the first one. How to pick, the responsibility to pick. The responsibility that this is a skill set, I think, on learning that there are things to pick and there are things to not pick. This responsibility of decision making. Now, I'm not going to make you raise your hands, but I wonder how many of you don't make decisions well. Huh? See, many of us, when we have to make a decision, I'm not talking about small decisions. I'm talking about significant ones. It's difficult to make the decision. We need to coach this into the life of our children. See, decision making has pressure. That's what makes it difficult. It has pressure. You're in this moment, and it's a big decision, whatever you're trying to, and the reason there's pressure, anytime you make a decision and you're like, man, this is tough, it's because there's pressure. I see this with my daughter. Ellie, of our 3 kids, she takes the longest to make choices. She takes like a lot of time. Just to give you an example, that we'll go to a store and say she's got birthday money or Christmas money, and she's got money saved up, and she wants to get something, and so we take her to the place that she wants to go, and she's in that aisle, wherever it is, it's an aisle, and she's looking at all the different stuff, and she narrows down, like, within a few things of like, okay, here's what I want, but then it's like stalemate. Anyone, you've been here like where they're like, which one of the things that I actually want am I going to get? And it takes a while. And then it's like, hey, honey, sweetie, we got to go. And she's freaking out. Then it sometimes like goes longer, and there's just this pressure. Which one? In fact, this got so bad at restaurants, kind of had to exert some authority. So here's how we work at restaurants, because the waitress would come around and find, like, do you know what you want? Yeah, everyone but Ellie knows. So here's what we've done is we require every one of our kids from the age of 6 up, they have to order their meal. If they don't, then they don't get a meal. So they have to order it. So if you ever just observe us, which that's a little weird, but if you ever observe us at a restaurant and we're sitting there, I'll give Ellie the kids menu, and she will take the crayon that usually comes with the kids menu. She'll circle what she wants so she's prepared, and then she tells the waiter or the waitress what she wants, helping coach into her life the power of making a decision. It's a responsibility. You have to learn how to make decisions, and you have to coach that. I don't know if you've ever wondered, like, why it's difficult. Like, why is this so tense? I can show you. Decisions have pressure because you have to sacrifice something you want. I mean, that's what typically when you're having a hard time making a decision, it's because you're not exactly sure what you want, or even worse, you're not sure what you're willing to give away, to give up, to be done with. And if you don't know this, you as an adult, you face this, but you better believe your kids face this too. And if they don't grow up with the understanding of the responsibility that there are things you must pick and things you must sacrifice, things you must do without, it's a big deal. In fact, this isn't just relevant to my daughter Ellie. She has struggled with it, but so has Hayden, so has Titus, so has Dad. Where you find yourself going, like, I want that, but I also want that. And the responsibility is you can only pick one. I can help you learn what I've had to learn and continue to learn over and over. Here, this is just basic. You have to learn how to live without something that makes you happy if you're ever going to be happy. Now, here's what I mean by this. You have to learn how to live without something that makes you happy if you ever going to be happy, that means that if you get everything that you want all the time, you realize that you've entered a stage of life where it's always about what you get next, which means you're always in a state of unhappiness because you're always discontent. So one of the most significant things you can make decisions, responsibilities in your life is to actually, listen, deny yourself. Yeah. To where you might be able to afford the payment, you might be able to fit it in somehow, but you don't. You choose to not have something that you want so that you can learn to be happy without stuff. Now, my kids have processed this. And so you start to ask questions. If you want to know, okay, how do I teach responsibility and get into my kids? Teach them how to make decisions by teaching them how to ask questions. Here's one we work with our kids about. What does the Bible say about this decision? Very simple when you think about it, but it's critical. So let me again walk you into our family. Hayden had got money, piled it up in his account. Things were going well. He's saving up for a car. He wants to drive a car someday, and I'll split it with him, but he wants to save up. Then he got enough money, though, in his account that that he realized then there was something else he wanted too. And he began processing. He had just enough to buy a brand new, what's called an RC car, a remote control car, but like high powered, like can go anywhere. Some of you know this. It's like the normal remote control car on steroids. And so he found one, and it was amazing. And he had exactly the right amount of money to buy it. So he said, hey, Dad, this is online. Can you get this for me? I was like, sure, dude. How much is it? Cool. How much do you have? He told me, I was like, okay, before we do this, have you tithed that money that you have? Have you returned to God a portion of it? And he looked at me, and he's like, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that question. See, in the Bible, Jesus said in Matthew 23:23, you should tithe. Jesus said it. And so we teach our kids that no penny, no dollar, nothing, all of it is God's. It's not ours. None of it's ours. So every time we get paid, make money, it comes in for birthdays, whatever, you return to God 10% of it. You give it to the church and say, God, this is yours. I'm returning it to you, a portion of it to you. So I asked Hayden, what does the Bible say about your decision regarding spending all of your money? And he knew, we've had this conversation. He's like, I'm supposed to tithe. I was like, okay. And just so you know, for those of you like, no, I didn't make him make a decision. I said, you do what you want, but I just wanted you to know what the Bible says about this decision. And here's what he did. I'm so proud of him. He said, all right, I need to go shop for a cheaper one. I was like, all right. So he went and shopped for a cheaper one where he was able to return to God a portion of what was his and then buy the car. That's how you begin to make decisions. What does the Bible say about this decision? Well, you can even go this further. It's not just money conversations. Here's another one that maybe as a parent you've wrestled with. You might have a kid. Should I date someone who doesn't believe what I believe? If you've ever asked that question, you probably will likely have this where your kid comes to you like, hey, I want this, she's hot. I want to date her, or he's cute. And we're like, well, then what does the Bible say about this decision? Do they believe what you believe? And the Bible teaches us about dating and marriage and what people believe. Let me show it to you. The Bible informs this decision. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. If you're like yoked together. I know we don't regularly do that. It's talking about in a relationship with. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common, or what fellowship can light have with darkness? The Bible gives us profound wisdom. And so when you're teaching your kids basic lessons on how to make decisions, one of the questions, not all of them, but one of the questions is, what does the Bible say about this decision? Can I pause the parenting conversation just for a second and talk to just all adults? If you're making a decision and going, I don't know what to do or how to do this, I don't know what God's will is, I don't know what, then just ask the simple question, what does the Bible say about this decision? The Bible talks about relationships, money, business. It talks about eating. It talks about all this kind of stuff. And if you want to know the right decision, the best decision, the way to be the most responsible, what does the Bible say about this decision? Now, there are more questions to ask. Getting wisdom from other folks, making sure that your decision doesn't compromise your mission or values in life. There's more questions, but I would say that's one of the top ones. That's how to pick. That's how to teach your kids how to pick. So regularly in our home, if there's a big decision, we go to the Bible and learn. But why do we study for our tests? Why do we dress certain ways and don't dress other ways? How does the Bible inform my decision about what I want to wear? The Bible speaks to this. Why do I talk to people this way or that way? The Bible informs that decision. Now, that's only one side of the coin, the responsibility of decision making. The other side of the coin, here it is, how to stick. Not just how to pick, but how to stick with what you did pick. How to actually own this and carry out this responsibility. We are responsible to make decisions and not require this of other people. I want my children growing up to become adults that when they actually do get into romantic relationships, they don't require of the other person to always make all the decisions. I want them to learn how to pick, but even they've got to stick with those decisions. It's responsibility. Let me show you what the Bible teaches on this. A wise youth harvests in the summer, but one who sleeps during harvest is a disgrace. I mean, you catch this. They chose that they're going to plant some stuff, and one day they're going to have to harvest that stuff. But do you notice that a lot of people don't stay through the whole process? They commit at the beginning. They pick, but they don't stick. This is a big deal. I mean, we see it all the time. People switching this and that, ending relationships all over the place. We live in a world that doesn't do extremely well with this. And if you're like, okay, how do I help my kid not only make decisions, but stick with decisions? Some of you are like, oh, I know. Just don't let them stop. Where it's like, can I do this? No. And what we often don't do is help our children learn to think. We just mandate, control, hover, and we're thinking, well, they're learning how to make decisions because I told them no and yes. No, in fact, there's a better way to do this to help your child think and to understand why we do certain things, why we have responsibilities. Here's a question. Do you want to live in a world where? This is amazing. I got this from one of my mentors. It's brilliant, and it'll mess with you in amazing ways. Do you want to live in a world where? If you're having this conversation with your kids on responsibilities, and they're like, you know what, Mom or Dad, I don't want to do that. And you could offer back, well, I'm making you do it. Or have this conversation. Like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to clean my room at all. I'm like, okay, do you want to live in a world where no one cleans anything? Well, most of us, we demand of other people to do certain things. Well, how about if your child lies to you? And they're like, what's the big deal? Well, do you want to live in a world where everyone lies? Do you want to live in a world where everyone does what you are currently doing? See, that's where this messes with me. Think about your life right now. Do you want everyone to live their life the way you are? This helps us think. And when you're trying to help your kids have responsibilities in life, please don't just make them take out the trash and make them do the dishes, make them clean their rooms, make them brush their teeth, make them mow the lawn. They're not there to be your servants. You're there to help them mature and to grow up to be incredible adults. And so they need to know why they're doing what they're doing. And there's a power in a family in a united way accomplishing things where we take the trash out because it'll do some nasty stuff in a house if you just leave the trash there. We clean certain things up so that we know where things are. There's reasons behind it. Teach the reasons. Do you want to live in a world where? And have those kinds of conversations with your kids. Now, the Bible helps us even process this further in Proverbs, which I think Proverbs, again, has shown us loaded with wisdom. Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. How fun is that? Just to say lazy bones. Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. Learn from their ways and become wise. Though they have no prince or governor or ruler to make them work, they labor hard all summer, gathering food for the winter. But you, lazy bones, how long will you sleep? When will you wake up? A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, irresponsibility. Then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. Now, so let's learn. The Bible just said let's learn from the ants about responsibility, about making decisions and sticking with our decisions, about having responsibilities, owning them, and living them out. How do you do that in a home? How in the world do you, I can show you, we'll learn from the ants. Here's the first one. Healthy families assign responsibilities. I don't know if you caught the whole thing about the ants, how the ants knew that they didn't need a governor or a prince. The ants just go out and do what they need to do because it needs to be done. So they had these responsibilities, assign them. Parents, listen to me very closely. You're not robbing your children of their childhood by giving them a responsibility. And you'd be amazed at how soon and how quickly a kid can not only have a responsibility, but succeed at the responsibility and build confidence in themselves. It's not about hiring servants. It's about building character. So, my suggestion, and it's not scientific, in the training years, around 6 years old, make sure that your 6-year-old on up has at least some kind of responsibility in the house. It does not have to produce a lot. Don't go big at the beginning. It can be simple, but give them a responsibility. Now, don't just give them a responsibility. Healthy families have goals. They have these, they're not just doing things. They have goals. If you notice, the ants, they're gathering things to make sure that for the winter, they're going to have all the food that they need. So there's a goal. You need to know that you need to communicate this goal. Why do you want a clean house, clean room, clean dishes, trash out? Why do you want that? Why do you have devotion time together? You guys read the Bible together. Why do you pray together? You need to make sure that there are goals that you as a family are trying to achieve, because then you pass on profound life lessons. In fact, I felt at this point we needed a refresher where we started. Responsibilities help fulfill dreams. And parents, some of you are robbing your children of their future dreams because they don't have any present responsibilities. Train in your child the power of picking something and sticking with it. This is a life lesson that will influence their job, school, marriage. It'll influence their friendships, and you better believe it'll help them accomplish their dreams. And if you're not a parent and you're like, you have dreams. Your dreams require responsibilities. Own that each day, and you get closer to them. Let me pray for you. God, this conversation isn't electric. It's not the most exciting to talk about the middle ground between dreams and fulfilled dreams. But God, I pray for those of us who are in a life that we've got dreams and we're not meeting them. Lord, whether we're parents or we're not there yet or over with that, Lord, I pray that you'll help build in us a desire to accomplish whatever dreams you've placed on our hearts. I believe you placed dreams on our hearts, God. I believe with all my heart, Lord, will you please help us to instill this in our home? God, I pray for the parents who have never done this. Please give them the words to say, the wisdom they need, and soften the hearts of the whole family so that these conversations can build character. God, I also ask that you help us as a church. Help us to know our individual responsibilities to help make this church be what you want it to be. We love you, God. Thank you for this conversation. Praise in Jesus' name. Amen.